Despite its growing momentum, there seemed to be some air of confusion surrounding the actual motive behind the formation of the African Democratic Congress ADC coalition. Now, this follows the different reactions and reception to the formation of the ADC coalition across different quarters. For some, it is a collaboration by a group of people seeking an end to the sufferings of Nigerians. But for others, it is another gathering of aggrieved and alleged failed politicians from different political groups and parties. Well, there are many angles to this, but that is what we'll seek to find out on this episode of Leadership Dialogue Podcast. I am Chikodinaka Dili. Well, my guest is a renowned political analyst, a former presidential candidate of the Liberal Democratic Party of Nigeria in 2011, and the convener of the Country First movement, Professor Chris Mustapha Wakobia Jr. Good to have you join me.
My pleasure.
We shall be meeting Professor Wakobia after this break to stay.
Camera rolling. Light set. Sound check. And action.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's program. A program where we get to talk
custody.
about the
Program
daily
where
affairs
lawyers
and
around the
technical issues with intent to educate.
This is the perfect space to create professional quality videos, recording news, podcasts, and all media content. With top-of-the-line cameras, studio lighting, soundproof spaces, we provide everything you need for a seamless shoot. Our fully equipped studio ensures high-quality production every time. Enjoy a comfortable, air-conditioned environment with professional-grade gear and expert support. Contact us now or visit our Abuja location to reserve your spot.
Well, it's still Leadership Dialogue Podcast. Remember that you can always be part of this conversation. We are streaming live on our different platforms on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and as well as Facebook. The handle still remains at LJE Nigeria. Well, I told you before we went on that break that we shall be looking at the coalition and the matters arising from the party, whether or not it is a party which has get towards failure or the party which would actually bring the desired change to Nigerians. Well, my guest is still in the studio, renowned political analyst and the convener of Nigerian First Movement, Professor Chris Mustapha Wakobia Jr. Good to have you.
The pleasure's mine, Chikode. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well. I would just start by asking you, are you still with the Obedient Movement or you are now a member of the ADC coalition?
Well, the Obedient Movement is a movement. It's still ongoing. For me, it's a call for a new deal, a new day, a new tendency, and a new republic. Then it's not a political party, it's a movement. Then the Labour Party, it's a party that I still identify with as a political party. But I'm full-heartedly with the ADC, the African Democratic Congress, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
The truth is that it comes to a time in the life of a nation where you need new tendencies in thinking, in thought, and in politics. Particularly now when those who superintend our country gravitating towards the ruling party, where there's a tendency by the ruling party to create a one-party state, where before now, the Senate had about 58 or so senators from the PDP. And as you and I talk, the Senate is almost by 3 seats less, a 2/3 majority in favor of the ruling party. And so when you have such tendencies, calls for worry. And then it makes it imperative for what you call a coalition of political forces to challenge for power. Because if you allow majoritarian democracy to superintend and take over the space, then we're all in trouble. The beauty of democracy, as it were, is plurality of thought, is the right to effective, efficient, and effectual opposition. But as you and I talk, the APC is unwilling to allow that. So I think that the ADC is an imperative necessity, if you like. We need the ADC, we need a vibrant opposition, we need a tendency that says no to complete control of the political space by the ruling party. So if I take your intro very seriously, the first is that some people think that it's an amalgam or a gathering of expired
Or perhaps
political
failed.
losers,
Absolutely.
and then the others tendencies for people who believe that it could just be the coalition that would save our country and take our country out of the morass. Now, let me say that that a party lost power or that people lost power in 2015 doesn't make them expired, doesn't make them political losers, doesn't make them people who have lost power. It only means the fact that it only defines the fact that democracy allows for choices. And if they lost power in 2015 and in 2025, there's a coalition and an effort by these tendencies to form a strong movement, a strong political party that can contest for power in 2027. It's only about politics. But sizably, what is important for me is the second leg of your intro, which is an effort by a people to save our country. And that's what it is. You have an underperforming presidency, an underwhelming presidency, a presidency that's largely lackluster and uneventful. And when you have that kind of presidency, what do you ask for? Nigerians must coalesce. Rather than agonize, we must organize to take back our country. And so what has actually made the ADC coalition imperative is the call of the people, the cry from the streets. Chikodi, don't forget that as you and I talk, Nigerians are hungrier than they were 2 years ago. As you and I talk, Nigerians are angrier than they were 2 years ago. As you and I talk, more Nigerians have lost jobs. As you and I talk, since the policy of this government that took away subsidy from fuel, subsidy from electricity, and that took away money from the streets. Because as you and I talk now, the value of our currency is far less than it was 2 years ago. There's hunger, despondency, and pain. So Nigerians are looking for some kind of redemption, if you like.
But in spite of this reality of which you have reeled out, does it actually strike to you as surprising when some leaders of this coalition, take for instance, Ahmed Dati, the vice presidential candidate of Labour Party in 2023 elections, saying boldly that he's yet to understand what the ADC coalition is about. So it does seem that there are some sort of confusion brewing in the air, and that is despite the fact that we have reports around the corner of some heightened Cold War in that formation, the ADC formation, all about who takes on the flag of the ADC. So doesn't it give you this impression that perhaps the ADC might not eventually hit its goal? Or maybe the Cold War brewing and heightening in the party is also deviative to the actual ideology or the goal of the party?
My way of answering that question will make you chuckle a bit. Let me tell you that the first challenge, the reason everyone is talking about the ADC, the reason the APC, if you like, is sleepless. You know, I was telling someone lately that the APC has never truly had a convention. They've never truly had an election. But since and their neck has never truly met. Since the coalition came on board, as you and I talk, the neck of the APC is meeting today.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's part of the pressure. That's first. You know, there's a party that is mortally scared, in trouble, has fear of a meeting of political forces in the name of African Democratic Congress. And that party is the All Progressive Congress. They're scared, jittery, and they're the ones putting up this hoopla. They're the ones, they rather the ADC dies before it comes alive. They rather there is no ADC. Having through subterfuge, having procured the defection, the gale of defections that you've been seeing around, having seemingly demobilized the political parties in the opposition, Labour Party, the PDP, and the NNPP, now they are mortally scared there's a party in the horizon, which is some kind of coalition, saying no, saying we're not going to give up the political space. So that is opinion is based on the fact that, and you know, he's one of my leaders, that simply came out to say, oh, if the ADC is able to contend with, contain, and handle issues about the ambition of several leaders in the coalition, ditto the presidential contestation for 2027. If the ADC is able to handle the individual ambition of its leaders, then the coalition will come fully alive. And I think that with every coalition, you have individual aspirations, but what is important is how we engage. And I have said repeatedly that if the APC did not die in 2013, and precisely October, November 2013, then the ADC will survive better, because then you had almost 10 presidential aspirants, you know, and what they did was to sign an accord that whoever wins the presidential candidacy, the ticket for the presidency of then in 2014, the others will support. So they had an accord. And I think that the ADC is walking in that same trajectory. It's about our country now. You know, in 2014, 2013, 2014, when you had the coalition and that became a merger that led to the formation of the All Progressive Congress, Nigeria wasn't this bad. And if in the quest to take power and take Jonathan out, they were able to submerge and subsume their individual aspirations, it is not now that Nigerians are bleeding and Nigeria is in pain and that our economy is in tatters, that Nigerians cannot subsume their individual aspirations. So those who are saying that Atiku will not allow any other person wield the flag of the ADC, those who are saying that Obi will not understand, or that Obi must be the candidate, and those who are saying that Amechi cannot, are just hallucinating. The point is that we'll meet at the table of dialogue, we'll vote where it becomes imperative, and we'll have a candidate who will, together with the masses of our people, take back our country. Are
you by that suggesting that you're moving to the ADC as more of an unbiased thing? It's something that is more clustered around the issues in Nigeria and not about the individuality. Because I asked this question because I know that you are very good friends with the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi. Has there been a love lost between both of you recently?
No.
So because for some persons, why the ADC kind of creates this air of confusion is because one would wonder why some members of the ADC coalition have refused to renege their party, defects properly as a democratic politician, and then, you know, move over to what the ADC coalition starts from, and not being one leg in and one leg out, because that I presume that might be what you were, tackling with.
Now let me say something very importantly. There's a coalition. There's a platform. No one person can belong to two parties at the same time. But fundamentally, for you to effectively have a constituency through which and by which you're negotiating for political power. You should, what Obi is doing is trying to put the Labour Party together. And that's why Dati was in a meeting of the Aburi factions a few days ago. Have a constituency, and then the constituency becomes the basis of negotiate effectively in a new platform. Now, nobody's saying he wouldn't join, and that's why the ADC has come out to say that Peter Obi and co will come over. But, you know, what is important here is not the fear.
In spite of the reports that Peter Obi intends to dump the ADC at some point, there are some fraud reports like that.
Let me give you this impression. There are people who would rather stoke enough fire, stoke enough crisis, cause some cacophony, so that they control what the APC has been able to do with our politics and our political space continues. Don't forget that as you and I talk, Labour Party, through which Peter Gregory contested the 2023 elections, is still in trouble. You have the Nenadi Usman faction and you have the Buri faction. And there's crisis within. As you and I talk, the PDP is still looking for life. Atiku Abubakar just left the PDP. But the Wike faction is still giving a whole lot of trouble. You have a secretary of a party that his zone, the Southeast, is not in line with Samayan. And, you know, when you have some of these tendencies, and simply it's about the witch cried last night, the child dies this morning, it's about the hand of Esau and the voice of Jacob. And when you have such situations, you're a bit more careful about the decisions you make and about the pace of such decisions. But let me also inform Chikode and the listeners wherever they are. Let me inform them that those who think that the opposition or the coalition is slow may not have sufficient information. The APC, about this time in 2013, had them informed. The APC was registered about 3 months after the effective processes began. And that was around October or so, 2013. Now, the coalition is fast about processes. Go through the country and you see mobilization from the grassroots. And that's because the Nigerian people are tired of the perfidy, of the hypocrisy and deceit of the APC.
And you believe that's enough to wither the strength of an APC, a party that has been in power since 2015 and has held sway? You know, a party that made a historic move. First time ever, they were able to take down an incumbent president. That's historical. That means they understand the nitty-gritty and the political waves of Nigeria. So how is it that a formation coming together would gather enough strength and momentum to push them down?
Chico, the facts and figures, the only election, as it were, that the APC has actually won was the 2015 general election. That's the truth. In 2019,
in 2023,
in 2019,
the APC was also announced winner of the election.
Announced. I like your choice of words. Facts and figures shows that in 2019, Atiku Abubakar actually won that election, and it was highly contested in the courts. In 2023, facts and figures, beyond what INEC did, shows that Peter Gregory won that election. But of course, all that the APC has done since winning the Tides 2015 election, which is what some people reluctantly allude to them, because some people will also tell you that they're not too sure that Buhari defeated Goodluck Ebele Jonathan in 2015. But the truth is that the 2019 election, we know who truly won it, and we know how highly contested it was in the courts of law. In 2023, we know very clearly, even INEC knows that the winner of that election was Peter Gregory. But let's come to facts and figures. Now, what is the magic of this APC that people keep talking about? The current president that they call Jagaban and they call a strategist did not win his home state of Osun. He did not win the state he governed for 8 years, his adopted state, Lagos. So where did he really win? These are the points that I expect Nigerians to actually tax their brains. I keep telling people that one of the greatest quotes of my late dad that has remained strongly with me was when he challenged me. He said, maybe most people leave their brains in the refrigerator. Don't leave yours. I always interrogate situations. I'm not one of those who believe that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a political strategist. I'm not one of them. Because the facts on the table does not allude to that reality. He's the only president who's never won 25% of the votes cast in Abuja. He's the only one who lost his home state in a presidential contestation. He's the only one who lost the state he has governed in a presidential contestation.
But yet had a widespread of votes.
How much of a strategist is it? So I think that going forward, what we need to do as a people is understand that we must put our country first. Be frontal, be effective in our discourse of national issues, and challenge leadership. What makes a man a great leader is how well he benefits the masses of the people, how well his leadership reassures the people. And as you and I talk, let me chisel this in, please.
All right.
As you and I talk, what you see across the country is hunger, pain, pangs, and despondency. So what makes the man a strategist? What makes him a leader? When he inherited insecurity and has democratized insecurity. When he inherited poverty and has put more Nigerians below the poverty mark. What has he done?
Now, speaking of patriotism, I would like to ask you a question. First, as a Nigerian, an individual, and then a political analyst. Are you a believer of fairness and equity?
Absolutely. What drives my politics is about the call for justice, equity, and fairness. So I believe that we must live in a country where the minimums are justice, fairness, equity, and inclusiveness.
Now, good to know. So when you have outrightly, said to all of us, including Nigerians, that you are a driver of justice, fairness, and equity, one would want to find out, considering the political divide in Nigeria and the manner in which the federal character, when we talk about zoning, for some persons widely recognized by the Constitution, does North and South kind of thing. As of today, the presidency is in the South. So for the ADC, where do you think the ADC may or should, consider to throw its presidential ticket to?
Chikodi, in answering this question, I imagine Generation Next looking at both of us. I imagine my children, if it's dropping. I imagine people looking at me, and I imagine posterity holding this tape in the next 15, 20 years. First, my inclination is for justice, equity, and fairness. And how do you define it? Now, if we truly want to be just, this hubris about rotation of power between North and South will not be. Because what our constitutional debates have been accepted is a 6-zonal structure, not North and South. Let me tell you what I mean. Just watch.
Okay.
In the confab of 2005 and the confab of 2014, the discussion was basically not east, not west, not central, southeast, southwest, south-south.
But the outcome of those confabs were never adopted.
Watch my line
Your
of
drift.
thought. Now, if you truly want justice, equity, and fairness, when you discuss politics in the way of the North and the South, then you'll be unjust to a large number of people. Because in the South, for instance, you have two very dominant tribes. Watch my choice of words. You have two very dominant ethnicities, the Igbo and the Yoruba. In the North, you have the Hausa, you have the Fulani, you have the Kanaris and the likes. Since 1960, Nigeria has been governed by two major divides of variegated ethnic tendencies what you have had is the North for so many years. But now let's talk about
The
our
South.
democracy since 1999. Since 1999 up till now, you have 26 years of uninterrupted democracy. I'd rather call it civil rule. Now, in this civil rule, you have had power held by the Southwest. If Tinubu gets to 2027 for 15 years, Northwest with Buhari and Umar Yar'Adua for 10 years and a few months. Now, where is the Southeast in the equation? We're talking about justice, equity, and fairness, isn't it? Absolutely. You have had power in the South-South for 5 years and a few months. So in the South South has held power for 5 years and a few months. By 2027, power would have been in the Southwest for 12 years, effectively, okay? Now that's Obasanjo's 8 years and Tinubu's 4 years. In the South, only the Southeast hasn't produced a president or head of government since 1999. Then you have the North, the Northwest. Where is the North Central and the Northeast? Those who show the hubris, the deceit about North-South are not fair. So if they say they are fair, you know the truth. It's hypocrisy because the South does not have only one ethnicity. Now, my debate, my call for justice, equity, and fairness is for anybody who's saying that power must remain in the South, the first call is to ask President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to be a one-term president. And then in 2027, allow for a president from the Southeast. That's justice, equity, and fairness. Let them stop lying to people.
So apparently you would want an ADC to consider a Southeast ticket.
If it must be in the South, it has to be Southeast. If it must be from the North, it has to be Northeast or North Central. I think that that's what, when people talk about rotation of power, that's what it means. It is not about this hubris, this lie about, because Nigeria is not about Northwest and not Southwest alone.
But I'll take you through this. In 2015, when APC took over power from the then President Goodluck Jonathan, for some political watchers and analysts, the reason for which they gathered so much of momentum and also were able to succeed in that drive was because they decided to field a presidential candidate from the North to fight against the South. And there has been some, arguments also with the ADC coalition for not a few persons. Apparently, the only way the ADC can thrive is if they field candidates from the North. Do you share
the politics
in
of
that?
numbers? Chikodi, strong argument about the politics of numbers. I've been confronted by a few brothers of ours from the North who have asked me questions, and you want us to fight for you. Why not fight for us now? This Bola Ahmed Tinubu presidency has alienated the North sizably, and that's why they're angry. Look at the nepotistic appointments. Appointments of this presidency has been more about Lagos, not even the whole of the Southwest. This government has shown that it does not recognize the federal character normative of Chapter 2 of the Constitution. This government has shown that it does not believe in the directive policies and principles of state policy recognized by the Constitution. And when you have those realities, when you see a government that does not look at the whole apparatus of economy, the economic apparatus, Minister of Finance, Governor of the Central Bank, Head of Customs, almost everything is under Yoruba, permit my choice of word, control
But it's not the first
Southwest.
time we're having such
Now-
political
now it is-
alienation in government, because
No,
under
it is
Buhari,
worse now
under
than
the
it
late
was.
Buhari's
It is far worse
administration, we
now.
had something
Chikodi,
new.
it is far worse now than it was under Buhari. Far worse. I didn't say worse. Far worse now than it was under Buhari. So the North is angry. And those who are saying that the best way to defeat an incumbent president is to take a candidate from the other zone are perhaps very logical about, because politics is about numbers. But you know what? I believe that the greatest anger in the land is not just about the numbers. It's about the fact that from Karunamuda to Eket, from Eket to Abeokuta, from Abeokuta to Plateau, Nigerians are angry. Far more angrier than they were in 2014, 2015. Nigerians are angry, far more angrier than they were in 2023. And so what is at the core of the call of the masses of our people is for a nation that is responsible and responsive to our citizens. How we deal with issues of hunger, poverty, disease, and despondency. So I think that that's the major denominator. Then comes numbers as second. Now, I've had friends of mine argue that why not just allow Atiku to do a one-term? That the Atiku ticket might be able to defeat the Tinubu ticket because it will have a preponderant number of Northerners supporting that ticket. And I said, when we get to that bridge, we'll cross it. What is important now is for the masses of our people to identify with the redemptive vehicle that we have now, which is the ADC, get to the grassroots, preach the message of a great country that can work. Because I am a deep believer in the project Nigeria, and I believe that Nigeria can work. Now, what we must begin to do is sell the message of a coalition across the country. When we get to the issues of primaries, we'll debate the issues, talk with the candidates. Those who will understand and perhaps step down for the candidate who can win the next election. I do believe that what we need is a ticket that is strong enough, a ticket that inspires hope, a ticket that believes in redemption, a ticket that has a manifesto that is workable. And when we get that ticket, Nigerians will identify with it, because anything but an effective ticket can take out this uneventful, underperforming, underwhelming, and unpatriotic regime.
Now, drawing from your thoughts, you have just made mention of the fact that what the ADC is about is ensuring that they field a candidate who is capable of winning the next election. And then I would ask, how would the ADC determine that? What are the things they would look out for? Because as far as politics in Nigeria is concerned, it is more or less a game of numbers and a game of interest. And when you look at the formation of the ADC and the leaders within the caucus of the coalition, from the Peter Obi to Rotimi Amechi to Atiku Abubakar to Anwar Rufai, who has got the numbers?
It will be too early in the day to want to do that score. Clearly, P2B connects with the larger republic of young people. Pardon my choice of words. The generation of those who are saying never ever again, he connects largely with them. Atiku Abubakar connects largely with the professionals and those who are very political. Rotimi Amechi connects with a segment of society and largely with the professionals too. So it will be too early in the day and you need a mix of these tendencies. So I believe that what we must do, like I said before, is take the coalition to the people. Let them buy into it. Let them buy into the message that the coalition is preaching. And then once that is done, there comes a point where the leaders of a party will fix dates for presidential primaries. I don't believe in imposing anything to anybody.
But speaking of taking the coalition to the people, as much as we know, the coalition is already in front of the people. And for not a few Nigerians, if we may read into the minds of Nigerians, it's always about individuality. The first thing Nigerians look out for are the individuals flying the flags of these political parties. Before they think about the political parties and then the ideology. For many Nigerians, ideology comes last. So in the formation of the ADC, there has been this argument. Some people have thwarted some people have come up with this idea of perhaps the ADC should have a dual ticket between an Atiku and a Peter Obi. Do you buy in that idea?
No, I won't be ambushed into that thought. I would rather look at what is happening and look at it dispassionately. And that's why I told you there is need for a coalition. That's the call of the people. There is need for a coalition that means well. That is the expectation of the people. And there is need for a coalition that can defeat the Tinubu presidency. That's the call of the people. And these fundamental expectations, call, aspirations, and hope must be fulfilled by the ADC. If the ADC fails to, it means that Nigerians will have to cope with another 4 years of an uneventful presidency. So what must we do? Now, we must, first of all, tell the leaders to subsume their individual aspiration and ambition at the altar of a collective good. Peter Obi must do that. Atiku Abubakar must do that. Rotimi Amechi must do that. And then once the people are able to buy into the fact that there's a new republic, a new day, a new hope, and a new tendency coming, the next leg goes to the question you asked. It must be about the numbers. Who can win? Who must lead the ticket of a coalition?
And not
then we'll begin
who
to look
can
at
deliver on the
no, you have to win. You have to win an election before you can deliver on a manifesto.
No. But before we talk about winning an election, Nigerians should be able to buy into.
Now you understand. Nigerians must buy into the movement. When they connect with the movement as truly redemptive, and when the movement is genuinely so, because it was a failure of the APC to prepare for life after victory that led us into the colossal failure of Muhammad Buhari's administration. And that failure has continued with the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration. So what do we need? We need to reassure Nigerians that politicians are not all promises and no fulfillment. We must assure Nigerians that this coalition is deeply sincere, deeply patriotic, and deeply committed to the future of our nation. And now, who can best carry this aspiration becomes the next challenge. And that challenge will be settled in the presidential primaries of the ADC.
Well, I asked you this question because in 2023, we had Nigerians enjoy the 3-horse race, which gave some robustness and vibrancy to Nigerian democratic system. And then in 2027, perhaps Nigerians want something a bit more vibrant than what they saw in 2023. And there are some school of thoughts that say Peter Obi, for instance, was able to garner such clouds because he was able to connect with the youth. And the reasons for which he was able to connect with this youth were the ideologies he was propounding at the time. Not an Atiku, not a Tinubu, was able to do an organic, followership like we saw with a Peter Obi. So in essence, should a Peter Obi...
Chikodi, you're doing a good job of trying to ambush me. But I am closer to Peter Gregory Obi. If you ask me who would you rather want to be president of the three, I'll tell you naturally, with the statistics that I revealed to you, the Igbos have not produced a president since 1999. So my first call will be, I go by an Igbo name.
Absolutely.
Coincidentally, the same way Peter Obi might want to claim me is the way Rotimi Amechi would want to claim me. It's from the South-South. I'm Igbo from the South-South. Now, my tendencies are simply let the best man govern Nigeria. That's why I said I'm mindful of what young people say about 20 years from now, 15 years from now, my first call is for competency, capacity, commitment to the common good, and good leadership values.
And of
not
these
necessarily
persons,
rotation or zoning. Now, because we have a nation that's talking about issues bordering on rotation of power as dwelling on justice, equity, and fairness, I would rather do a section that has never produced a precedent, produces a precedent. And you know what? That ties me to the fact that the Southeast has not produced a precedent since 1999. The Northeast has not produced a precedent since 1999.
And incidentally, Peter Obi is from the Southeast, and an article.
That's why I'm saying that what is important for us as a people, Peter Obi is from the Southeast. The Southeast has not produced a precedent since 1999. Atiku Abubakar is from the Northeast. The Northeast has not produced a precedent since 1999. And I would rather either of these candidates sells their manifesto to the party, to the coalition, sells their manifesto to people, the masses of our country, and then if they settle for either of the candidates at the primaries of the ADC, I will support the person who wins the presidential.
Just like every other member of the coalition, just like every other member of the coalition has been heard saying they would support whoever emerges a winner at the primaries of the ADC. But then, what would you say to those who believe strongly that the ADC is a formation of an Atiku Abubakar?
I'm not an Atiku acolyte, but I'm of the ADC. And so many people are not Atiku acolytes, but they are of the ADC. So that argument is not tenable. Let me say to you clearly that so many of us believe in the coalition because we must stop this uneventful presidency. We must stop this underperforming presidency. We must stop this underwhelming presidency. And that's why we're in the coalition.
But there are several other political parties. As of the last count, Nigeria has well over 18 political parties registered. And of these political parties, as of today, it just appears we are talking about the APC and then the ADC.
You would love to hear this.
Absolutely. Please
now, the coalition that led to the APC, to the ADC, did not start with Atiku or the contemporary politicians. No, it didn't. It started with the obedient movement. The first charter that was signed with the ADC was signed by COPDEM, Coalition for Protection of Democracy. And COPDEM is populated by the obedient movements. And they signed this coalition, this charter, as far back as about May, June 2024. So Atiku and co started talking with the ADC almost a year after COPDEM had entered into a charter with the ADC. I was invited to some of those meetings, and I spoke with Ralph Okenwonsu, the immediate past chairman of the ADC. So those who think that the ADC was set up as a coalition by Atiku are far, far away from the truth. I am saying, and that's why I keep saying to people, interrogate every information. The truth is that the ADC has been in. If you were the unveiling of the ADC, you remember that Ralph Okenwonsu said clearly that this effort began 18 months ago, and it was with the COPDEM. Okay, so I believe that going forward, what is important for us is how we make our country work. I'm not involved in the many stories thrown up by the APC and those who are jittery off and about the coalition. There are people who are mortally scared that, oh, we have conquered the Labour Party, we've conquered the PDP, and so our road to 2024, to 2027 is easy and smooth. And suddenly from the blues comes the ADC. And they're mortally scared and jittery.
Is this just about the ADC and then the APC? We have several other political parties. We have the NRM, we have the YPP, we have the SDP.
We shouldn't run into the Bobby trap of having another 3-horse race.
Why?
Just imagine if we didn't have the 3-horse race, we perhaps would not have had the Bola Ahmed Tinubu presidency.
But Nigerians are entitled to have multiple choices, and then they make their choice from it.
America has well over 48 political parties. There are 2 dominant parties, the Republican and Democratic Party. The United Kingdom has well over 27 political parties and several others. But you have dominantly the Labour and the Conservatives. And you know why this happens? The fact is that plurality at the level of two basic political parties makes it easier for people to make choices. Now, what happened in 2023 is a lesson for most of us. Perhaps if an Atiku and a P2B had merged forces in 2023, we won't have this uneventful presidency. And if we fall into the bobby trap of having a three-horse race again, that means the Nigerians will have to cope with this uneventful rule.
And then again, ahead of the
years.
2027, we are having a Peter Obi from the who performed greatly during the 2023 election, and then the person who came second, and that's
why
in the same coalition.
That's
so
why
does that in any way suggest that apparently the ADC might eventually end up with an Atiku Peter Obi tickets?
We may not know that yet, but the truth is that if we work together, bury our individualistic aspirations at the altar of a collective, in 2027, you will have ADC producing the next president of
Are there other stronger aspirants?
There are several tickets. Let me give you an instance. I have told people, contemplate a P2B Atiku Abubakar ticket. Contemplate a P2B Kwakwanso ticket. Contemplate a P2B former governor of Sokoto State, Tambuwal ticket. Contemplate an Atiku Rotimi Amechi ticket. There's several tickets that, if united, can take the Bola Ahmed Tinubu Shetima ticket to the cleaners. And that's what is important. For me, I must advocate that those who truly love Nigeria comes along with us, and let's take this message of a Nigeria that can walk to the masses of our people. And then when we get to the basic end, which of course is the primaries of a party, the man who wins the ticket at the primaries becomes a platform for the redemption of our country.
So, in not a few words,
and what if I eventually decide to run and I become the pillar upon which the coalition decides to take power?
That also would show that the ADC is even more dynamic.
So let's allow for the growth of the coalition, the effectiveness of the coalition. Let's allow the coalition to grow. And sooner rather than later, the primaries will come and the coalition will come out with a ticket that Nigerians can buy into, and through which and by which we can defeat this uneventful presidency.
Well, we most sincerely thank you for your time. We will have to go at this point. It's always great speaking with you on this program. It is Leadership Dialogue Podcast. My guest has been the convener of the Nigerian First Movement and a renowned political analyst. He was also the presidential candidate of the Liberal Democratic Party in 2011. He is Professor Chris Mustapha Wokobia Jr. Always a pleasure having you.
The pleasure is mine, and God bless Nigeria.
Absolutely. We'll see you again. I'm Chikot Nakadili. Bye for now.
Camera rolling. Light set. Sound check. And action.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's program, a program where we get to talk
custody
about the
program
daily
where
lawyers
lawyers
dissect legal issues with intent to educate.
This is the perfect space to create professional quality videos, recording news, podcasts, and all media content. With top-of-the-line cameras, studio lighting, soundproof spaces, we provide everything you need for a seamless shoot. Our fully equipped studio ensures high-quality production every time. Enjoy a comfortable, air-conditioned environment with professional-grade gear and expert support. Contact us now or visit our Abuja location to reserve your spot.